Starting.
Welcome to my video presentation for PSP 5816 Performance Enhancement B at John F. Kennedy University. Today's topic is energizing and how to best use and store and save your energy during a competition, practice, or post-practice meeting, for example. So, introduction, I just want to thank the members of the Santa Clara University baseball team for joining me today for this session. There's an outline sheet provided for note-taking throughout the presentation, and feel free to share any stories or ask questions throughout to make this more of a discussion. I want to hear feedback from you guys. I'm going to give you some techniques, I'm going to give you some strategies, but I want to hear from you about what you've done in the past and what worked for you. Okay, so today we're going to first talk about when to energize. Certain situations, when to energize, before, during, and after. And then I'm going to give you some skills to teach you how to energize, how to recognize when you're a low energy level and what you can do to actually change that. And then we're going to field any questions after that. Okay. So when to energize. It's the most important part, obviously, is to identify those situations in your sport where it's necessary to energize. Because if you're not aware of those situations, then you're not able to make that adjustment. So, for an example would be the track athlete having to energize the dead legs during race, because a lot of times, I mean, people might be running a race and they get heavy legs, and then they'll automatically dwell on the fact they have heavy legs instead of recognizing, okay, well, I need to energize myself. I need to use a technique or a skill or strategy to get myself out of that kind of mindset. Now, you guys are baseball players. What example can you use that's similar to this of a situation where you need to energize? Yeah, go ahead, Spencer.
Middle innings.
Middle innings. Please elaborate.
So middle innings is something our head coach talks about. It's where it's kind of the lull in the game where everyone's just kind of rolling through it and not taking advantage of the fact that they can score more runs.
Exactly. It's one of those situations where it's in the middle of the game, like middle innings, and people kind of fall into the trap of kind of just going through the motions, and that's a perfect example. And going through the motions is a topic where you can address in practice and in a game, and that's a perfect example for this situation. But at the same time, a lot of times athletes are at that optimal energy level, and no adjustments needed. And it's all about that awareness, the self-awareness of knowing exactly how much energy is necessary for the task, and how much you need to store for later, and etc. So it's important to know when you need to energize, but it's also important when you need to just keep the status quo and stay exactly where you are. Now, we're going to go through a little breathing routine. Breathing is the first strategy we're going to talk about to increase your energy level. Okay. So first, just focus on a relaxed, good breath. 3 cadence in, 3 cadence out. No pressure here. Do that a few breaths. Okay. After you do that, increase your breathing rhythm. Make it go faster. About 2 in, 1 out. 2 in, 1 out. Increase your breathing rhythm. With each inhale, imagine your energy level just going up. Just feel yourself feel more energized with every breath. With every exhale, get rid of all the bad thoughts. Anything that's ailing you, just go through that with every exhale. Now, say to yourself, every exhale, energy in. Every exhale, fatigue out. Energy in, fatigue out. Energy in, fatigue out. And slowly you'll feel more energy come into your body. You'll feel more apt to whatever you're doing at that time. Okay, so you guys are good on that one. So the next one, using imagery. It's important for the athlete to have many options to pull that energy from, because sometimes some options just may not be available. So it's important to widen your horizon and really be able to pull from different options. Some of these options might be like an animal image. Animals, I mean, are associated with being energized. They're always on the move. They're always on the prowl. A machine is powerful. It's always consistent. It's always making things happen. And forces of nature like a hurricane or a tornado, those are really powerful things that you can actually think about and it'll actually increase your energy level just by thinking about it, because your body will be conditioned to think like you can actually be like the image you're thinking about, and your energy level will automatically increase. So after talking about all those examples, is there any examples from you guys that you can think of that would be good energy? Go ahead, Tom.
I like using the sun, so forces of nature. Like when we do our breathing exercises as a team, and you're closing your eyes and you can actually feel the energy from the sun like on your skin. I think being able to feel that and really imagine you know, bringing in that energy is really helpful.
No, that's perfect. And the sun, I feel like the sun would be more of like a relaxing energy, because it's like something that's always going to be there for you. And I think that's a really, really good example and fits in perfect with this. And if that works for you, that's great. It gets you ready for a good day to soak in the energy from the sun. I think it's a great example. So, like I said, it's important to have a lots of different supplies. So, say you go to the sun when you want to relax, but if you need to pump yourself up a little bit, you might go to a different type of image. And this is what it looks like. So you need like a full arsenal, if you will, of images that you can go to in different situations. And it goes back to the first slide where I talked about just being aware of your energy level and the situation you're in, because your energy level or the situation you're in will dictate what energy level you need to be at. And it's important to you to understand which one you're in, so you know which image to go to. In some sports, baseball being one of them, has lapses in the action where energizing imagery could be really powerful, because you might be taking a break, or you might be in between innings, or in between pitches, or whatever it may be, or in the outfield. And you can go to an image where you're just kind of getting lost in the game, you're stuck in middle innings, and you can go, all right, well, I need to lock myself in. And whatever that image may be could be a really effective tool for you. Okay. So now we talked about imagery and having that cue to go to and breathing. Now we're going to go put it all together. We're going to try to drill it right here real quick. Okay. So start breathing again just like we did the first time. And just listen to me, and we're going to have you incorporate imagery, breathing, and just thinking positive thoughts and getting good energy. Getting through. Okay. So 3 cadence, 3 in, 3 out. Now start saying to yourself, I feel energy coming through my body. And when you say coming through my body, is on your exhale. I feel energy coming through my body. You want to emphasize the energy part of the exhale. You want to emphasize that. Okay. Now at the same time, I want you thinking about a powerful tornado sweeping through the Midwest somewhere. No damage, of course. Sweeping through, powerful, a lot of energy. Thinking, I feel energy going through my body, breathing, and the tornado. I want you to link them all together. I want them to be as one right now. Okay? Do that for a few seconds, and we'll move on. Okay. Now, similar to the imagery concept, we need to pull from different sources. Okay, transferring energy. We want to grab energy from something else and bring it to ourselves to reach that optimal performance. Okay, and feelings of anger and frustration are a perfect example. There's a lot of times where athletes get caught up in the moment. They get mad at their performance. They get mad at other people, and it just does not help their performance at all. And being aware, like I said, is the most important part of this whole topic. Now, we're going to go to a video clip real quick. Remember the Titans. So sit tight. This video clip exemplifies exactly this idea.
Bunch of tough guys. You got anger, that's good. You're going to need it, son.
Sorry,
You got aggression, that's even better. You're going to need that too. But any year-old child can throw a fit.
We'll restart that
Football
one.
is about controlling that anger. Bunch of tough guys. You look like a bunch of 5th grade sissies after a cat fight. You got anger, that's good if you're going to need it, son. You got aggression, that's even better. You're going to need that too. But any little 2-year-old child can throw a fit. Football is about controlling that anger, harnessing that aggression into a team effort to achieve perfection.
So just like Coach Booth says in that clip, we want to channel that aggression, that frustration, into good, positive energy for yourself and your team. I think that's a great example of how, previously in that movie, we all know the team gets in a fight and they have a lot of anger towards each other, a lot of tension, but that team ends up channeling all the anger and frustration into building that team up to being such a great team. Okay, so this talks about storing excess energy. Okay, so during a warm-up routine, it's important for you to recognize that you need to store energy for later in the competition, because a lot of people come out in the first 5 minutes, first inning of a game, and they might blow out all their energy. But it's important during the warm-up. It's important during the warm-up to save energy for later, because when you're warming up, you're kind of gearing yourself up for the game, and you just got to keep yourself at a consistent, moderate energy level so you can sustain it throughout the entire game. And what this does is allows you, like we talked about in the last slide, is pulling from different sources, transferring energy from different sources. And when you store energy, you're able to generate more energy later if you need it, because you have energy to do so. If that makes sense. Okay. So it provides energy for you to use later in the competition if needed. Okay. Using the environment. Now, a lot of people say don't get caught up in who's in the crowd. Don't pay attention to what's going on in the stands. But I think if you do it the right way, it can be very beneficial for you. You can draw energy from the spectators of the crowd. The crowd's going to be cheering loud. They're going to be getting crazy behind you, and that's the home field advantage phenomenon that you always hear about. Is the football team, the baseball team, feels that energy from the stands. You can really channel that into something positive as long as you do it the right way. And like I keep touching upon, you've got to have different sources of energy because in case one's not available, you're on the road. You don't have a home field advantage, so you need to have different entities where you can actually pull that energy from. You can actually generate the energy from the opponent. No matter if the opponent has momentum or does not have momentum, you can take energy away from them that they may have. So in this situation where they have the energy, it's your job to take it away from them. And if they don't have momentum at all, that is a moment where you need to increase your energy level because of the fact that they don't have it at all. Because that's the time where you can expose a weakness on the opponent. Okay? Listening to music. Okay? Music is both a great relaxer and energy provider. Music has become a very, very important part of sports nowadays with the use of iPods and MP3 players. It's really easy for athletes to access their own personal music library where they can put music on there to relax them before a game or get them pumped up for a big start if you're a pitcher, And it's or Michael Phelps here, he says he listens to DMX, Eminem, and Tupac before every time he swims. So this is him listening to his music right before he swims, and obviously he's been a really, really successful athlete over the years. Now I'm curious, how do you or your team use music to generate energy? I want to hear specific examples, maybe you personally, or how the team, certain songs you play at certain times, like what happens for you? Go ahead, Pete.
I think the team uses the locker room and we play music, and there's always different moods for different songs, and it's a great bonding experience for the team, I think.
And that's like before games?
Before games, after games, sometimes even too.
Perfect. That's great. So, and that's a great way to come together as a team and build energy as a team just by playing music in the team room. That's a perfect example of how a team can get together and boost team energy as well as individual energy as well. Pacing, okay? Usually Go ahead.
A quick thing on
No,
music again.
please.
Going on Team Energy, if you
Yeah.
just look at our team last year with Luke's walk-ups from Through the Neighbors by GCJ, there's this instant energy when that song came on.
No, and absolutely the people in the crowd felt it too, and that's perfect because, like I said, you can draw energy from the crowd. So if music can energize the crowd as well as the players, I think you're best of both worlds, and that's the home field advantage. Totally same idea. That's great. So tiredness is usually happens because you unnecessarily put energy where it's not supposed to be. What it says by pacing, it's choosing how to expend your energy. Okay. For one unnecessary source of energy drain would be responding to an umpire or worrying about your own performance, because that's energy that you could be using later in the game. Currently, at the task at hand, it's important to focus on the task at hand. We always talk about win this pitch or one pitch at a time, and that's the whole idea, is staying in the moment and not responding to things like this, and using your energy appropriately to focus on what's going to happen next. Okay? And it takes a lot of practice. It takes physical practice, it takes mental practice, and it's very, very difficult for someone just to jump right into this kind of pacing concept and be able to avoid losing energy. Okay. Distraction. Simply focusing your attention away from your fatigue and your tiredness will actually build your energy up, because your mind will forget about what your body is feeling if you don't think about it. Okay? Yeah, just dwelling on your fatigue will actually increase the amount of tiredness that you have. It'll magnify it, and you'll become much more inefficient in whatever you may be doing, whether it's a workout, whether it's during a game. Your fatigue will actually lead to poor performance. Okay? And that just goes back to concentrating on the focus on what's the task at hand. That's the most important part in all sports, and that goes for everything. Is just concentrating on what you have to do now instead of worrying about how tired you are, because that's just going to hinder your performance every time. Now, there's another type of distraction strategy called disassociation strategy. When you think about something completely unrelated to what you're doing, and like an example would be a long distance runner would be running, okay? And I read somewhere that, well, going back a little bit, the energy provider, that long distance runner would imagine herself as the little engine that could. Something like a little child's book, but that's something that a cross-country runner can go to forget about fatigue, forget about what she's doing. Now, that same long-distance runner uses a disassociation strategy and actually does math problems in her head when she runs. So she forgets the fact that she's running by distracting herself, by disassociating herself with what's going on around her. And that can actually lead to higher energy levels because you're forgetting about all fatigue. You're concentrating on something else. And that would be disassociation. These you say, some people might say these totally contradict each other. However, when you're noticeably, when you're doing this on purpose, it can actually be really effective. When you're not doing this on purpose, that's when you run into trouble. But this can be a very, very effective tool if used correctly. Now, we went through all the skills and strategies of how to energize when needed. We talked about the situations when we need to energize and how to become more aware of when to. Now, is there any questions, any topics that you'd like me to go in depth on, or anything else you'd like to? Go ahead, Spence.
Do you have any like foods that provide really good quick energy, like apples and stuff? Is that?
Apples, bananas, fruits. Fruits are a great source of energy because it actually hydrates you as well as gives you the nutrients to keep going. Fruits are a great source of energy. Any other questions? Well, I thank you very much for your attendance. I hope to have another presentation soon, and I appreciate your guys' help. So thank you, and have a nice day.